When Star Wars The Clone Wars was cancelled, the show was in various stages of producing new episodes. 13 episodes survived in full, which led to The Lost Missions, a shortened 6th season added to Netflix in 2014. An additional 8 episodes were completed in terms of the audio and the story, but the animation was left in a preliminary stage, which takes us to the Bad Batch arc. In 2015, these unfinished story reel episodes were shown to the public in a similar state to the previously shown Crystal Crisis arc. All of these episodes made for some incredible storytelling, even in their unfinished state. Specifically looking at the clone-centric storyline, I feel it strengthened the concept of clone troopers being more unique than originally thought. Arguably, this is a theme carried over the course of the entire series. However, George Lucas deliberately wanted a story about a unique Special Forces unit of clones. These clones were to have their own enhanced abilities described as desirable genetic mutations. Super sensors, superior strength, enhanced intelligence, and exceptional eyesight. These ideals became the basis behind each member of Clone Force 99, aka the Bad Batch. Reviving the Clone Wars series in July 2018, the final season saw an opportunity for the show to be released onto Disney+. Sadly, this was only a limited revival, giving us just 3 story arcs. Although the Bad Batch characters had circulated the web for several years, fans are now well aware of Clone Force 99 thanks to the final season. With a mostly positive response to their completed episodes, their own TV series was announced in July 2020. I would argue that plans for the Bad Batch getting their own series accumulated before their episodes were officially released. Despite more material being available to produce even more episodes of the Clone Wars, the revival was limited, focusing on the integral story arcs considered to be missing pieces by Dave Filoni. In these final 12 episodes, Captain Rex and Ahsoka were the main focus, leading us into the Siege of Mandalore. After the show ended, the popularity was overwhelming, with the Clone Wars becoming one of the highest rated shows for streaming. Perhaps the new series is an alternative to having more Clone Wars episodes. Before the Clone Wars cancellation in 2013, part of the original plan for these last few stories was to revisit Clone Force 99. This story was of course written before giving these characters a greater potential in their own TV series. The unseen story is referred to vaguely as the Kashyyyk arc. As we know, this story was abandoned due to the cancellation. However, there are story opportunities behind the Kashyyyk arc that still could be used. Is it therefore possible for this story to fit into the Bad Batch series? Written by Matt Michnovetz, Kashyyyk consisted of 4 episodes intended for the latter half of the original Clone Wars Season 6. Set during the final months of the Clone War, this story would see Yoda and Clone Force 99 joining the Wookiees on their homeworld of Kashyyyk. Most of the information surrounding this story came from the Untold Clone Wars Stories panel from Star Wars Celebration 2015. These episodes depict both clone troopers and Wookiees working together to fight a common enemy, the Separatists. Supposedly an origin for the Separatist infiltration of Kashyyyk, this story would account for the events shown in Revenge of the Sith. Created specifically for this story, the Separatist leader on Kashyyyk was a Trandoshan warrior named Babwa Vanomor. Sadly, nothing is known about this antagonist, but there is a piece of concept art for the character designed by Jim Moore. I appreciate how the Trandoshan characters are portrayed as enemies, especially in relation to Wookiees. This is something I feel carried over from the 3rd season finale. Just like in the 3rd season, Chewbacca would make another appearance in the Clone Wars. This time joined by Tarful, who was seen in Revenge of the Sith, these stories were going to enhance what we know about the planet Kashyyyk. As described at Star Wars Celebration, George Lucas was extremely passionate about the world building surrounding this planet in particular. Dating back to when he was working on the original trilogy in 1977, he would delve into the intricate details behind certain characters for merchandising purposes. The Wookiee homeworld is thought to be heavily spiritual, where the characters would commune with nature to aid in their battle. This is further depicted by some concept art drawn by Dave Filoni. Tarful is seen approaching a tree, supposedly requesting permission to sacrifice a portion of the forest and burn it in favor of victory. Yoda's involvement with this story is drawn from the Revenge of the Sith movie quote where he is revealed to have good relations with the Wookiees. Although vague, I do appreciate how this story would have provided exposition on such a random throwaway line that perhaps didn't have as much meaning to begin with. Since these episodes were still meant to be seen during the Clone War, designs were done for a series of clone troopers representing Yoda with markings resembling his ears sprayed onto their helmets. The segment of preliminary animation for this story is very short and sadly only provides a vague action sequence with no hints at the overall plot. This segment shows the Wookiees alongside Clone Force 99 infiltrating the lethal forests of Kashyyyk. I do appreciate how certain creatures were being implemented into this story, some of which we have never seen before. Filoni was particularly excited by the usage of these unnamed giant ape lizards. These are shown through the majority of this scene, jumping through the treetops with the Wookiees and the Bad Batch clones riding on their backs. During this sequence, we see Clone Trooper Echo in his new armor prominently seen as he joins Clone Force 99 in Season 7, Episode 4. I appreciate how the creators carried over this armor design to the new series. Adding to the incomplete nature of this reel, the voice acting used throughout is only temporary, but it still shows the rebellious side of the Bad Batch.
I thought the cue was not to fight nature, unless it fight you first!
As the characters journey through the forest, they come across a group of Kinrath who start attacking. The Kinrath are a predatory creature originally depicted in the Knights of the Old Republic video games across both Kashyyyk and Dantooine. Adapting a variant of these creatures into canon would have been a fantastic opportunity. Seen as an enemy, the Wookiees and the clones fight their way through the trees. The Kinrath continue to use their web shooting, taking down several of the characters in the process. For our main characters, Hunter is recognizably featured with Echo, likewise with Wrecker who is seen riding on the ape lizards and fighting back. The remaining named characters are lingering in the background. Knocking both Wrecker and a Wookiee off their ape lizard, the Kinrath continue to attack, netting a Wookiee in a web. Wrecker yells out, "I ain't waiting for orders," as he begins to fire at the Kinrath. It was likely established in the written story that the clones were to be respectful to the nature of Kashyyyk. This would therefore retain a sense of diplomacy and an understanding between the clones and the Wookiees. With this in mind, Wrecker seemingly disobeying orders makes more sense for his character. Once the fighting begins, the other clones join in, same with the Wookiees who start picking off the Kinrath one by one, leading to their victory. Expanding the lore of Kashyyyk would have been reason enough for this story arc to exist. It has technically been confirmed as fully written, but the story has yet to be adapted. Based on the current marketing and the press release from Lucasfilm, the season premiere for The Bad Batch is confirmed to be 70 minutes long. With such an increase for the opening episode, the first thought that came to mind was adapting the Kashyyyk arc. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel it is unlikely for this story to feature in its original form. With the story presented in the trailers, I feel the cancelled episode would possibly slow down the pacing of the main storyline. Not much is known about the main plot for the moment, but a lot of the story from the trailers looks to surround the child character Omega, along with Crosshair's conflicted allegiance between Clone Force 99 and the Empire. For an extended premiere episode, this opening chapter will have a lot of ground to cover setting up the series. With clones executing Order 66, the shift in power to the Empire, Tarkin ordering the elimination of Clone Force 99, I am more inclined to think that Kashyyyk just won't fit into these categories. Being slightly more optimistic, Kashyyyk could still work as the extended premiere for this series. It would of course need to be altered slightly to fit into the 70 minutes time frame, but I am sure many fans would appreciate the assets and the original scripts not going to waste. This this would also retain a familiarity of the original show. In favour of this story being told, the familiarity is a huge positive, mainly for certain characters who are going to feature in these episodes. As I mentioned, one of the main reasons for this story not to be included would reflect on whether or not the Bad Batch characters were a main focus. They are heavily spoken about, but it would seem redundant if they were side characters in their own season premiere. The trailers do hint to at least some of the show taking place around the timeline for Revenge of the Sith. This is most notable where we see Palpatine's announcement for the Galactic Empire. Nothing is confirmed, but a scene of Order 66 possibly taking place on Kashyyyk would work to the advantage of utilizing this untold story. Involving characters such as Yoda and Chewbacca would also provide the typical cameo-style fanservice approach. Unfortunately, nothing further in the trailers confirms that Kashyyyk is happening. Some shots from the first trailer do seem to be set prior to the new storyline taking place. Bear in mind, this is entirely speculatory. If the timeline is going to shift, this could work for the untold story to therefore be told. Notable scenes see Hunter stealing a speeder bike dressed in civilian clothing, Crosshair expressing his anger in a canteen full of regular clones, Wrecker in a military-style outfit. This could hint at an origin story threaded across the series. In summary, I'll be brutally honest, I don't think Kashyyyk is coming. I'm all for it happening, and I would honestly love to see these episodes happen someday. With the direction the show is taking, this untold story just doesn't seem to fit into the Bad Batch series. It would seem like the perfect opportunity, now wasted with the amount of resources lost from these episodes. As stated, this story may not have been included due to unknown circumstances. Sure, we have seen Clone Force 99 in the preliminary animation, but imagine if that was their only prominent scene. It would seem silly if the Bad Batch were background characters in their own main story. Thank you for listening to my thoughts on the Untold Kashyyyk arc. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments, do you think this story will ever be released? Perhaps it could follow the same footsteps as Dark Disciple for a novel adaptation, or even a comic adaptation like Son of Dathomir. If you are interested in more content relating to the unfinished Clone Wars episodes, I also have a video looking at the Lost Bounty Hunter story arc featuring the duel between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. Let me know if you feel I should cover more of these unfinished stories, and for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?